Have you ever trusted someone so completely that you never imagined they could destroy your entire life? I trusted my own son. I gave him everything I had, every birthday, every Christmas, every sacrifice, every sleepless night. Then one afternoon I came home and discovered that my house no longer belonged to me. Not because I had sold it, not because I had lost it, but because my own son had secretly sold it behind my back. He smiled as security escorted me away. He believed I would never come back. What he didn't know was that I was returning the very next day. And when I did, his entire world collapsed. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, what would you do if your own child betrayed you like this? Now let me tell you exactly what happened. Have you ever trusted someone so completely that you never imagined they could destroy your entire life? I trusted my own son. I gave him everything I had, every birthday, every Christmas, every sacrifice, every sleepless night. Then one afternoon I came home and discovered that my house no longer belonged to me. Not because I had sold it, not because I had lost it, but because my own son had secretly sold it behind my back. He smiled as security escorted me away. He believed I would never come back. What he didn't know was that I was returning the very next day. And when I did, his entire world collapsed. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, what would you do if your own child betrayed you like this? Now let me tell you exactly what happened. Part 1, The Life I Built. My name is Margaret Wilson. I'm 62 years old. For over 35 years, I worked as a nurse in Chicago. Long shifts, missed holidays, countless nights without sleep. Every dollar I earned went toward one dream. A home, not a mansion, not a luxury estate, just a warm brick house with a white porch where I imagined my family would always gather. When my husband David passed away 6 years ago, that house became my only source of comfort. Every room held a memory. The kitchen where we laughed together. The backyard where our son learned to ride a bicycle. The front porch where David proposed to me, to anyone else. It was simply a property. To me, it was my entire life. Our son Ryan was 33. After losing his sales job, he called me crying. "Mom, I just need somewhere to stay for a few months." Of course I said yes. He's my son. That's what mothers do. At first, everything seemed fine. He cooked dinner. He helped mow the lawn. He hugged me every morning before I left for volunteer work. I believed we were healing. I couldn't have been more wrong. Little by little, Ryan started asking strange questions. "Mom, where do you keep the house paperwork? Mom, have you ever thought about downsizing? Mom, do you really need such a big place?" I laughed. "I'll leave this house when I'm ready." He smiled, but there was something cold behind his eyes. I ignored it. Looking back, that was my biggest mistake. One evening, he surprised me. "Mom, you deserve a vacation." I hadn't traveled in years. He booked me a small cabin 2 hours away, paid for everything, even packed my suitcase. I remember hugging him before leaving. "I don't know what I'd do without you." He hugged me back. "I love you, Mom." I believed every word. As I drove away, I had no idea. I was leaving my home for the last time. The next afternoon, I turned onto my street with a smile. I couldn't wait to sleep in my own bed. But the moment I reached my driveway, I slammed on the brakes. A moving truck stood in front of my house. 2 strangers were carrying my furniture outside. My dining table, David's favorite rocking chair, the family photo albums. I jumped out of my car. "Excuse me? What are you doing?" One of the movers looked confused. "Ma'am, we're helping the new owners move in." I laughed. There must be some mistake. "This is my house." The man hesitated. "I'm sorry. According to our paperwork, this property was sold yesterday." My heart stopped. "Sold?" I ran to the front door. The locks had been changed. A young couple opened it. The woman smiled politely. "Can we help you?" "I live here." She looked shocked. "We bought this house yesterday." She showed me the closing documents. My hands trembled. The seller's signature looked exactly like mine. but I had never signed anything. Then my phone rang. It was Ryan. I answered immediately. Ryan, what's happening? His voice was calm. Oh, you're back already? What did you do? He sighed. I sold the house. I couldn't breathe. You what? It was the best decision for everyone. Ryan, that's my home. Not anymore. Tears filled my eyes. You forged my signature? There was silence. Then he said something I'll never forget. You never would have agreed. So I handled it myself. My knees almost gave out. Where am I supposed to live? You'll figure something out. Then he hung up. I stood on the sidewalk, watching strangers carry my memories into a truck. My neighbors peeked through their windows. Some looked away. Others whispered. For the first time in 62 years, I felt completely homeless. That night, I slept in a cheap motel. I cried until sunrise. But while sitting on that old motel bed, I remembered something. 3 years earlier, my late husband had insisted we meet with our attorney. He had placed one sealed envelope in a safety deposit box. He smiled and said, Margaret, if anything strange ever happens to this house, promise me you'll open this first. I had completely forgotten about it. The next morning, I drove straight to the bank. I had no idea that the envelope David left behind was about to destroy my son's entire plan. The bank was quiet that morning. My hands were still shaking as I unlocked the safety deposit box. Inside, there was only one thing, a large brown envelope. Across the front, in my husband's handwriting, were the words, for Margaret, open only if someone tries to take our home. Tears filled my eyes. Even after all these years, David was still protecting me. I hurried to our family lawyer's office. Mr. Harrison looked surprised to see me. Margaret, what happened? Without saying a word, I handed him the envelope. He carefully opened it. Inside were 3 documents. The first was a notarized letter from David. The second was a property trust agreement. The third made Mr. Harrison stop reading. His expression changed completely. I leaned forward. What is it? He looked at me and smiled. Margaret, your husband was a very wise man. I frowned. What do you mean? He pushed the document toward me. 3 years ago, David transferred your home into an irrevocable family trust. I stared at him. So? He continued. That means your son could never legally sell this property. Without your personal approval, and without me signing the transfer as trustee. My heart began to race. So the sale, Mr. Harrison nodded, is legally invalid. I covered my mouth. For the first time in 2 days, I felt hope. But then he added, there's something even more serious. He placed the sales contract beside the trust documents. We compared the signatures. This isn't your handwriting. It's a forgery. The room fell silent. Mr. Harrison immediately picked up the phone. I'm calling the title company. And the buyers. They deserve to know the truth. That afternoon, everyone gathered at the title office. The buyers. The real estate agent. Ryan. And me. Ryan looked confident when he walked in. Then he saw Mr. Harrison. His smile disappeared. The lawyer calmly placed the trust agreement on the table. Ladies and gentlemen, this property was never legally available for sale. The buyers looked shocked. What? Mr. Harrison continued. The seller had no legal authority. The signature is forged. The transaction is void. The young couple exchanged worried glances. We don't want this house. We're canceling everything. The real estate agent turned toward Ryan. You told us your mother had signed every document. Ryan couldn't answer. He simply stared at the table. Then, his phone rang. He answered. Within seconds, the color drained from his face. It was his bank. The funds from the sale had been frozen. His business account was under investigation. His loan had been canceled. Everything he had planned was collapsing exactly then. Mr. Harrison looked at Ryan and quietly said, You didn't just try to steal a house. You committed fraud. Ryan slowly looked at me. For the first time, there was no arrogance. Only fear, he whispered. Mom, what have I done? Ryan stood frozen. His phone slipped from his hand and hit the floor. The room was silent. The buyers had already left. The real estate agent quietly walked away. For the first time in his life, my son had no excuses, only consequences. I slowly stood up, picked up my purse, and walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard his voice. Mom! It wasn't the confident voice I had heard just yesterday. It was broken, weak, scared. I stopped walking, but I didn't turn around. I'm sorry. I know those words aren't enough. I thought money would solve everything. I thought selling the house would save my business. I never stopped to think about what it would do to you. Tears rolled down his face. I became the kind of man Dad warned me never to be. I quietly walked out of the office. That evening, I checked into a small hotel. I wasn't ready to return home. Not yet. I needed peace. Around sunset, there was a knock on my hotel room door. When I opened it, Ryan was standing there. His expensive suit was gone. His tie was missing. His eyes were red from crying. The confident businessman had disappeared. In front of me stood my little boy, the same little boy I had once carried to bed after nightmares. Without saying a word, he dropped to his knees. Mom, please, I've lost everything. The bank froze my accounts. My business partners abandoned me. My fiancé left. I don't even have a place to stay. He lowered his head. I finally understand how you felt when I took your home. I looked at him for a long time. Every painful memory came rushing back. The moving truck, the changed locks, sleeping alone in that motel, the tears, the betrayal. Part of me wanted to walk away, but another part, the part that had been a mother for 33 years, couldn't ignore the broken man in front of me. I gently said, Ryan, I forgive you. He looked up in disbelief. But forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. You'll answer for what you did. And if we're ever going to rebuild our relationship, it will be through honesty, not entitlement. He nodded. I understand. Several months later, the criminal investigation ended because Ryan admitted everything, cooperated with the authorities, and repaid every financial loss caused by the fraudulent sale. He received probation instead of prison. He also spent hundreds of hours doing community service, not because the court wanted revenge, but because actions have consequences. The house was finally returned to me. The original deed remained exactly where it belonged. One Sunday afternoon, Ryan came over carrying a small wooden box. Inside were my late husband's old house keys. I had kept these, thinking they made me the owner. He placed them gently into my hands. But now I know, a key can open a house. It can never earn a home. I smiled. For the first time in a long while, I saw the son I had raised. Not because he had become successful, but because he had finally become humble. That evening, we sat together on the front porch. The same porch where David and I used to drink coffee every morning. As the sun began to set, Ryan quietly asked, Do you think Dad would forgive me? I looked toward the old oak tree David had planted years ago. Then I smiled. He'd tell you exactly what I'm telling you now. The worst mistake isn't falling. It's refusing to get back up. Ryan wiped away another tear. I'll spend the rest of my life earning back your trust. I squeezed his hand. I know. As I locked the front door that night, I realized something. A house can be stolen. Money can disappear. Trust can be broken. But love, real love, always leaves the door open for redemption. When someone is willing to change,